This is the Harbor Management Commission's Mooring Committee meeting Wednesday, December 15th, 2021 at 4:45 p.m. The meeting is in the first floor conference room, and attending are Harry French, Brian Leclerc, and Jeff Stedman, not George. Today's meeting, we have a flag in the room, so we should do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. And Kim Taylor has just joined us, probably dealing with the same traffic the rest of us were dealing with out there.
Actually, I was, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The first item on tonight's agenda is a Harbor Master's report. Harbor Master.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian Leclerc for the record. Number of items to go through as we approach the end of the year and gear up. First is I attended an online mooring conference last week with Harbor Masters from all of their representative communities, and they were very helpful. They went through some new features. The most important thing they pointed out that we should consider is beginning July 1st of next year, they are changing their financial structure. Basic support is what everyone has right now. That includes 4 hours of training, but only in the first year that you sign up with online mooring. Then it's $75 to $150 per hour for training if you need training. There's free email support for basic. They will change your configuration of your website and your data only for the first year of use for free. Otherwise, they charge you. Of course, they'll fix bugs in the software anytime. I found a bug in it now regarding the waiting list. We're working on correcting an issue. If you go to premium, it's $1,000 a year. That's unlimited phone support for anyone for the entire year. And they have a new program called Harbor Master Assistant Program, where if you pay them $12 per application, they will do all of the administrative work for a municipality, but no decision-making work. So I just want to alert you that there is, we still have email support, but the phone support is going to be stopping next in July. So get your questions in early.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, yeah.
So do you think that the email support will be sufficient?
I have a feeling, I think I've got a handle around this. I get it now. Jen and I have had several calls working on a few things, sort functions, list functions. We have some, it's kind of interesting is to even add someone, you've got to take the mooring, assign it to someone before you put the waiting list into it. It's not that logical how to do it, but I think I've got it. Or I can do it via email. I can ask her. I can say, "Hey, Jen, I'm having trouble with this. Could you help them?" They're very responsive. So I think we'll.
But you're the guy who's going to be using it, and we want you to.
I'll figure it out. I'll know by July.
Okay, great.
As we do the renewal, I'll see what happens.
Okay.
I've updated almost all the templates. I'm going to send an email out. That was a good suggestion. You had one more email reminding people to stop sending me stuff. People are sending me stuff already. Here's my safe boating, like a random picture. Well, I can do it, but you ought to do your own paperwork. And to put the right stuff up, don't send me letters from the insurance company. I need, it's called your declaration of coverage for the right registration. It's not that hard. Right. You guys could figure this out, and ladies could figure this out. So I'm going to send them an email telling them, they assure me at Online Mooring that January 1st, people will get, everything will be configured that if you have a mooring, you're now eligible for renewal. If you're on the waiting list, you're eligible for renewal. So everyone can start putting the documents on, and it should work out just fine.
Are you comfortable that the people who currently hold individual moorings in the North Anchorage will not get a renewal notification?
They tell me they won't.
Okay.
So
that could be very confusing for, 51 people.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I'm going to make a note. I will follow up one more time with, Next, I'm communicating with Travis from Pequot. Mid-wall 3, 5, and 6 moved. They got to be 10 feet into the channel. They all, got off position when they went to pull them out at the end of the year. We checked. It's because the bottom is basically just soft sand and mud. So, what they suggested, and I would agree, is pulling 3 of our unused moorings from Perry Green and doubling up on the moorings there to keep those boats in position. And that'll keep them from, as you noticed at the end of the year, they were scooching over
way out,
to the middle. So that looks like that problem will be solved.
Why do we have 3 unused moorings in Perry Green? I know the first one is not being used because it's in the mud,
Right.
but the others were, I thought, assigned, or should have been by
The town.
Parks and Rec.
Unless we have extra anchors there, that's what I'm wondering. Do we keep extra anchors?
I don't know, but we should be careful. We can't take away.
We can't eliminate moorings.
We can't eliminate the moorings that
No,
Parks and Rec
no.
have. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as there's that adequate tackle.
Correct.
We can also acquire tackle.
We could get tackle, and I told them, don't be shy. We had that conversation. If something's not going to work, and they're on board with that. We talked a long time about tackle, and he showed me their replacement and how they work on things and fix things, and I pointed out that we can't have that risk of tackle failing.
Right.
Good.
Can they use those,
Helixes?
screw ones over in
Not,
that area?
no, that we talked about using it, areas they can use it, and that's not one of the spots they can put the helixes into, apparently, to make them work. But they think their solution of doubling up on the mushrooms themselves works better as a way to hold things in. So we have, I guess that there's one thing we should talk about is, hold on, back up here. I guess we'll talk about, with Jeff in a minute, a little bit about the south wall Anchorage. I have one spot available there that I didn't fill, I should say, because as you know, 00 was added, which is the souffle, which may be sticking out. So before I give that spot to anyone, I figured I should keep that empty until we figure out whether we need to scooch everyone back to readjust. So that's the one spot available is south wall. We can talk about.
I don't mind me interrupting. The comments you were just making about the moorings. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Ingborg texted me that he's on the line, so that if we want any clarification from him or explanation of what he intends to do to work with you on those issues, he's available to do that.
Yeah, I've had some great conversations with Pete Quad about the moorings, and I think we're all on the same page about what they do, and they Travis explained what they do there, and it seems like they're on top of this.
Jeff, the lines are not muted, so are you on the line, Jeff?
Yes, I'm on the line. Thank you, Jack.
Perfect. Okay, good. And I don't know if the Harbor Master Emeritus is on the line. Pat, are you on the line too? Not today. Okay, good. All right.
So we'll talk about that in a bit. I had one boat who's at the top of our list is a 35-foot power boat owned by Mr. Breyer. It's indicated he is a commercial fishing vessel on his application. I sent him an email a few weeks ago asking for certain documentation to confirm that he, in fact, is a commercial fishing vessel, such as the commercial fishing license, the commercial vessel permit issued by DEEP, which may be required depending on the type of the license. And I asked him to send that to me back on November 22nd. Didn't get a response, sent a follow-up to him this week. I talked to DEEP Fisheries, and they gave me the information as to what licenses would be required if it's commercial, because that would give him a priority, as you know. I didn't hear anything. I then spoke to Online Mooring to try to confirm, is he at the top of the list because he's commercial or not? And they said, let's play with it. So I went into his paperwork, deleted his commercial checkbox, and he stayed in the same position. So I asked her why. And she said, good question. He's probably at the top of your list. So I think I have to go back and manually check that information on the waiting list.
So if he's at the top of the list without regard to commercial fishing, he should probably my suggestion is that
Yeah.
he should consider not applying commercial, because he doesn't have to sustain commercial fishing to
Right.
get the license. He can just keep it as long as he wishes.
Exactly.
So it would be in his interest to just not claim on that basis, but we need to go back and look at paper records to
Right.
see if this is a mess up in the transition to the electronic online mooring, or he legitimately is really the first person on the list.
Yes, we're working on that issue right now. We have a ticket in on that as well. And that's one of the issues. And we, I'm checking that. And also, if you look at the online, he's WL7, then it's WL9, 18, 20. The numbers seem to go up randomly, and then all of a sudden you get the long, 8 or so letter codes next to people. So I asked him what that's all about. And they said, my predecessor was changing numbers, or he took people in positions, and for ease of how he mentally did things and visualized, he put WL numbers to try to show the order. But the computer does that automatically, and they discouraged me from doing that. They said, you're better off leaving an assigned number forever on it. So whenever you make an application, we had a new one this week come in. A woman put an application in for a sailboat. I explained how. Next thing you know, she's at the bottom of the list. She has a random number.
Mm-hmm.
She's just going to work her way up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no real reason for me to change that number that I could see, because that's only going to confuse people if we have numbers
like your successor.
And then they suggested, I not change numbers. Let's leave them alone, because the computer does that automatically.
Right.
And I print the list. Now I have a printed archive. So if someone calls up and you call up and said, I was number 17, now I'm number 29, what happened? I can actually take physical copies to see if you're correct on the list.
Great.
And this person indicated she thought she was already on the list. Why does her name not appear? Well, she's on for a Pequot mooring, but she's not on our wait list anywhere. And I explained you're not automatically on the list, so that's why she got on the list with her boat. One other issue came up, several issues, but one that I wanted to alert you to is Bob Devlin contacted me. He's LW01, furthest one out, obviously. He has the Hinckley powerboat. I think it's dark blue, 30-something feet. He questioned whether he needs to submit a safe boating certificate himself, because he doesn't have one. He lives right off the mooring on Willow Street. He's indicated, based upon his age, he never pilots the boat himself. He has someone else pilot his boat. Should he be, I don't have one because my son does, can I just put the boat in his name? And we talked a little, and your rules don't address the issue of someone who doesn't have a safe boating certificate if they have someone else's certificate. Do we make him get a safe boating certificate even though he may never do it? That's what the rules would appear to require. Otherwise, he runs the risk of trying to transfer. You can't transfer to children. You get the whole house trust issue, the riparian rights issue. It gets very complicated. It may be easier to have a person get the certificate than try.
At least 3 of those that I'm aware of that.
Children.
Well, all sorts of combinations of people who have a mooring but who don't, for whatever reason, drive their own boats. And they have, over the course of the last year, at least 3 people have asked us, what are they, and our response has been, you need to have a safe boating certificate if you've got the boat registered in your name.
Which it needs to be if it's on your mooring.
If it's on your mooring, and so you will probably hear from the other 2, because they're very similar situations.
And I'm sure I may hear from
more
than
that. Also, I provide the harbor master with a example of the current state of Connecticut registration form, which requires you to put your safe boating certificate on the registration.
You can register a boat now.
So you can't register it without having it. So our rules are consistent with the town's registration requirements.
I can see this with a spouse.
It's a simple, multiple choice
has a certificate.
Online test. You don't have to demonstrate strength. You have to demonstrate that you can answer. If you take the test online, and it's a multiple choice test, it's not too onerous a request to do.
Right.
That's what I just wanted to alert you.
He can also have somebody else operate his boat for him if he wishes, but that's beyond our purview. But our rules are pretty clear that you have to have a safe boating certificate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I really have for my report. Everything is falling into place here. Seems fine.
So, do you have any early indications of any moorings that may become available? It looked, as I sort of scanned the boats coming up near the top of the list,
Big
there's
boats.
a lot of big sailboats with deep draft. Those would be South Sea Lake.
I talked to Travis about that.
Yeah.
Specifically, we chatted about, what I've got is, I think I've got a Benetout 423, a 43-foot sailboat, another 43-foot sailboat, a 28-foot powerboat, and a 25-foot powerboat.
Yeah.
In that order, coming down the list. And if, in fact, we have the one available at the south wall, that's probably the 25-foot boat. Everything else might be too big. It's probably too big for that. And I've heard of no one saying they're not coming back.
Okay,
They're
yeah.
indicating that.
Yeah.
But you're right, we have a lot of big
Yeah.
boats coming up now.
And this is the time of year we might hear something. Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, about that last mooring on the.
Yes, we're now talking about South Wall 00 for the folks on the
Yes.
phone.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the town surveyor, and I sent him the charts, and I talked before the meeting today. So it seems, and what was this? This was in February of 2 years ago, that the moorings are out, so you don't see the moorings in place there. But what we did is lined up the chart from the Corps of Engineers, and it seems that the line of sight is from a point here to the edge of the swimming pool. And then if you sight across that's where the channel ends. So they will go out, and I'll call the country club tomorrow, but they can go out and set a temporary stake here, and then also identify the spot for the line of sight, so that we can see where the mooring balls are relative to that line.
Except the balls aren't there now,
The
right?
balls aren't there now.
Right.
So Jeff said there's two ways we could do it. If we could ask the club to let us keep that temporary stake there, because he said they would do that this Friday if we wanted them to. And I said I'd call back afterwards if we wanted to go down and at least look and see what it looks like. We could either ask if we could leave the temporary stake there until the spring, or Jeff could have his guys go out and pull up, what's on the bottom now.
Brian needs to know before the renewals, because he has to know what to do with the flag.
I mean, I could leave one blank, I guess. Empty. I could take one empty and scooch everyone north by one basin.
And then assign that first one if we can use it.
And then, so for instance, I think I have 17 there. I'm pretty sure, is it 17? I think it's, whatever number.
I don't know.
Let's say I have 10 there. And if we're going to lose one, I can, move Souffle up one and move everybody up one until I take up the gap. So you're pretty close to where you were. You're one boat north of where you were. And that would mean I wouldn't assign the extra one. We would fit. If we lose two, it becomes more problematic, because then hopefully there's two boats that are, one boat doesn't renew on this south wall, and that would give me room, and then I can always fill it. But if they don't, then I'd have to start moving people around. So I'd have to know before.
Jeff Engborg, is there a way to know, now that we've pulled the moorings, if we have this sort of sight line figured out, is there a way to know before the first of the year if South Wall 00 and 01 potentially both are in the channel or neither? Is there a way to know that?
The way to know it would be to send a crew back out and grapple the sunken chain off the bottom of the harbor and put a pole there to do that.
Yeah.
Just, we're kind of out of the on the water mode, but we can get back into it for you guys. Whatever you want us to do, we'll be glad to do it.
I'm thinking about the disruption and the work involved for the harbor master, but disruption for all those boaters and that string to change all of their moorings by one if we don't really need to.
I think if we can have Pequot perform this task for us,
It would be good to do.
I would
save you a lot of heartache with people who said, why do I have to move after all these years by one? Right?
So I'll call the country club tomorrow to get permission, and the survey crew, at least Scott said this afternoon, they could go down on Friday.
Okay.
And put a pole up and help us with the line of sight. All right, maybe we'll pursue that and then see what the next step is.
I think that's the best way. We can. No, we're zero.
I mean, worst case scenario, we're back to what we were planning anyway, but if we could resolve this before the renewal.
One boat's okay, two becomes
Yeah,
problematic.
you don't have an empty spot, right?
I don't have an empty spot, and assuming I do get one, then I start moving everyone, and if I'm renewing people and I tell you that you're SW7 and you really become NW whatever, because it gets...
So maybe some of us can go down at least on Friday and see what it looks like when we put the stake up.
Right.
And then maybe Jeff can do this work next week or whenever it's, but I'll let you know.
I don't know if it's a factor in the south wall string, but I know that Pequot actually keeps the distance between the moorings based on which boat is in each section, so just moving everybody back may be more complicated than we're thinking also, potentially, I don't know. Okay.
I'll work on it.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I took a leave of the meeting to?
No, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Back on the throughway to Norwalk?
You're welcome to dial in.
You're going south, that's easier.
Yeah.
Going south is the right way to go tonight.
Right,
Sure is.
sounds like it.
Thank you, let me know on Friday if I'm
I'll
available.
let you know.
I'll be good.
All right. The next item on the agenda is just a discussion about, again, readiness for, what is it, a week and a half from now, 2 weeks from now?
I think we're ready. I mean, I've tried to clean up, everyone is assigned, everything is, I think we're okay, ready to go. The online mooring tells me they're okay, we should be fine. Things are going to automatically carry over, such as the safe boating certificate. I mean, you and I don't have to put them in every year if we've done one. It should work. They've got the new fee in for the waiting list people, the $10. That should be.
Have you heard from anybody complaining about having to pay $10? Good,
Nothing.
good.
I did notice that the Stonington folks made theirs for the first time $25, and they also really started policing their waiting list, and it dropped by almost half to about 150 people now, so.
I think Stonington had the boat, by the way. I reached out to him about his boat, and he said, "How the heck did you find out we were getting a new boat?" I said, "Rumors travel fast." And he said, two things. Number one is we're trading that boat in for the new one. We're getting a new one just like it. And number two, if you want to get a boat, we recommend this one. It's perfect for you. I said, "Thank you." That's what I was looking for. Thanks for the info. He was intrigued how you knew about that. I didn't throw you under the bus.
No worries. Okay, so we feel like we're good. What did you decide relative to the stickers? Non-printed stickers?
I talked to the gentleman over at Granville Printing,
Yeah.
and he can do it. He hasn't given me an exact price yet, but I think I'm going to actually do stickers with your mooring, with your number on them, your SW12. So this way, any boater I could tell, or any of us could tell, if there's a boat out of position. Not only otherwise, I mean, I could pull the records up and do it, but you can kind of get a good idea. And it may help other boaters. If they're coming in and I'm SW5 and you're 4 and that's 6, I probably should go in the middle if I'm confused.
Right.
And
anything
I want to do stickers. I do want to do stickers because I think it gives you ownership for the mooring and less of a chance that random people come in and just grab a mooring and say, no one's ever going to notice. The harbor master's never going to notice I put a different boat. Or, there's no stickers on them. But I think it would,
And what are you going to do with the North Anchorage boats?
Probably just, give them a stack of stickers and tell them to, let them. They seem to be able to handle it. Pequot seems to know what they're going to do there. Give me a list whenever I want it of all the boats. They'll have a spreadsheet, which is all I need to know who's in the harbor. So we should be fine.
Cool. All right. Anything else on that? Readiness issues? Communications, we've already checked out, updated those. Jeff, any update from the club perspective in terms of communications to members about the change in North Anchorage? When we last met a month ago, we just talked about you doing your piece and Brian doing his as well.
No update other than we're waiting for a word. We don't want to send out word too early when we request their information. So we're standing by to do.
But those folks know that they're not going to get a permit at this point, like they did in the past.
Weren't they going to get a letter from you guys explaining that they didn't need to? I thought that's what you guys said.
Yeah, I thought we sent out. I will make sure. I made a note here that North Anchorage to send something clearly out that you're not going to be renewing through the harbor
I
master.
don't think that was a standard thing. That would have had to be a new thing, so.
I thought I sent, I'll make sure.
I don't know.
I thought I sent, but I'll double check. I made a note to make sure the North Anchorage people get an email from me telling them how it's different. I know that was in one of my emails this year, that you're not going to get a renewal from me. Pequot will renew for all of you. You need to coordinate with the yacht club.
Okay.
And are you going to have a separate email, or how did you want me to use your email, Jeff? Who's the contact that I should say they should communicate with about that?
Maybe just say that the club, a suggestion would be to let them know that the club will be reaching out to them in a separate email. Because we have a handle.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then when I get my letter from you guys concerning my mooring, that'll be my cue to the next day to pull the lever on our 51 emails.
Well, you won't get one from me because your boat is in the North Mooring, right?
Yeah, but I'll get a letter from you saying that we no longer have to file with the town.
Oh, that one you're talking about. Okay, right.
Yeah,
that I'll send out probably over the weekend before the holiday, so that they give a heads up, reminding them that the Pequot will handle all that. You do what you need to do. Yeah.
And that would be our green light to reach out to our membership and make sure that we get all that stuff in a row. Because the plan would be to get you guys all to be secure with the documentation before the stickers are mailed out. Of course, we want to be on time and we want to have all our ducks in a row.
Okay. And for your stickers, while I've got you, do you want me to just number them one consecutively, or do you need me to use your row numbers? Does that help you, or just want me to give them numbered to you? Is that fine?
Any random number works for us. Thank
you. You don't care. Okay, you don't want the specifics as to what row they're supposed to be.
Jeff, help me if I'm wrong here. My understanding is part of the rationale for the change in the rules is to give them total flexibility about moving boats around within the.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because if I'm having him printed with letters, I can easily label his, for the different rows they have.
Except he might move somebody from one row to the other.
That's what I'm saying. Regular numbers.
They want total flexibility, and this gives them total. Yeah, and they also might change boats.
Plain numbers, right?
Yeah, any 51 boats can be in there, so it could be a different set of 51 boats also from day to day.
And they could change. I mean, maybe I got to get extra stickers too, because your boat. How many stickers do you want for the North Anchorage? Meaning you're going to have boats that are going to leave and other boats go in. So I'm curious how often that happens, how many you'll actually need.
Remember, we talked about maybe stickering the actual mooring ball so that you wouldn't have to keep track. And then if you wanted to know about specific boats, our list that we would be providing once a week or whatever interval you want would keep you up. That would be one option. Whatever you guys want to do, we'll be glad to do. Jack's right. We do need some flexibility because boats change positions, or we service a mooring, or some boats are trying to get bigger or smaller and they fit better in a different spot. So the more flexibility we have, the better.
See, moving, it doesn't matter if we have a sticker on the back of the boat. You can move me anywhere if I'm one of your members. But how often do you have a different boat coming in that we now have to get you extra stickers for that boat?
We might have as much as 10 extra boats that are in flux. I think this season we'll have up to that amount because we've got a lot of boats that are coming late or leaving early or stuff like that.
So maybe I'll order 20 extra stickers then, if that works. And then this way you'll have plenty.
That should be good because we only have 51 spots no matter how we slice it. So
Right.
Yeah.
But if you stick my boat in halfway through the season, because Jack took his boat to Maine or something, this way you just hand me the sticker, I put it on the back. Now, and then you put me wherever you're putting me. You could rearrange anyone as long as they have a little sticker on the back.
And we can keep track of the stickers on our list, our spreadsheet that we supply to you. That'll have the sticker number of all the boats as well.
And it also helps us if you have a boat out there with no sticker. We can have a squatter coming in. We can all track it. Someone grabs one of your moorings, decides this is a nice spot for my boat, and you're like, who the heck is this?
I bet that wouldn't last too long, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the North Anchorage is a little different because we've got so much demand back there that we always have a handle on who's there and who should, But other places in the harbor might be different. I think.
Yeah, I think it'll work. It'll work out. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The other item on the agenda, I think we covered because Jeff Devin was leaving, so I think we have a good handle on that issue, at this point, which was the, placement of the Southville mooring. So the game plan, I understood, was that we'll have the town engineer mark with a post, and Jeff will assign his team to help work with the harbor master to find out as clearly as we can whether Southwall 00 and possibly even 01 are impinging on the channel or not. And if not, we're golden.
Jeff, you have a boat in the water that can pull up the chains this time of year?
Absolutely, yeah. We have our mooring barge in the water right now, and we're still
You don't, I don't
servicing
think winterized
with
or it's ready to, okay.
Awesome.
ready to rock anytime. Except for that south mooring area is more exposed, so we want to pick the right day and the right tide before we grapple and locate that line. And then another thing to remember there is once we locate it, the sand is such in that area that any marker will move. So in order to get the exact point of where the mooring is, we need to use a pole, because with the tides, if we just get the chain and then we put a float on the chain, the float's going to move around. So if we want to be exactly accurate, we're going to want to use a pole. So my suggestion would be to, once you're ready, we connect a float to the end of the chain, and when it's time to make an evaluation, we'll go back out there and take all the slack out of that chain so we can truly see where that anchor is.
Somebody will sit on land at the right point in line of sight.
It doesn't matter where the anchor is. It doesn't matter where the mushroom is. It's
Right.
where it ends up.
Yeah.
Well, the mushroom would matter because I don't think we're allowed to put tackle in the channel. And the fact that if the row isn't full, the boat might drift forward into that position. So we want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rule is about that. Is the rule that it can't drift in, and if it's an unfilled string, and if the front boat drifted forward, would that be a violation of the federal rule?
Theoretically, I would think.
I
mean,
okay.
You can't be you can't be moored
Period.
in the channel.
Right. Period.
You can have, if you think about it, someone could put a really long scope on their boat.
Right.
Well, that's right. And in this case, we're responsible for it. So the point is that those boats move quite a bit when the string isn't full, right?
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, there's empty boats on it too, right?
Right. So what he's saying is, if the string is not full, how far could it stretch forward to the south to potentially drift into the channel? So, okay.
I mean, we may find that even if it's not in the channel, the danger of having the boats, the slack line, getting it into the channel is, especially as the channel gets smaller.
Well, how much? They're only going to go forward. If I'm the first boat, I've got a bow and a stern on me. If I have 10 feet of play, I'm going to have less than that if my boat starts going towards the sound, towards the south. But if there's a boat behind me, I mean, that may pull me back a little. But
They tend to, so in my experience, they tend to,
You have two chains coming off the mushrooms. My stern chain and the boat behind me's to the north bow chain.
Right.
Or bow rope. So that means really, whether he's there or not, I'm going to move the same distance, right? Does it matter?
Tide too.
With the tide.
You've got tide.
But other than that, it shouldn't matter if there's a boat behind me because I have an independent attachment to the mushroom.
I think they...
Right?
It shouldn't, but it always seems
like
right?
You get some very funny swinging sterns and stuff.
Right.
Jeff, help me understand why that happens, but it seems like there's a lot more flexibility if the string isn't full. I can't explain what's going on.
In that particular area, there's one mushroom with one chain, and then at the top there's a ball, and then one line off the ball will go to a boat in one direction, and the other line will go to the boat after it. So
they kind of balance. That's what's happening.
In that area where there's single mushroom anchors, there's single chains. So it's a single point fixed to the bottom.
Oh, one chain to eat. Okay, to the mushrooms. You don't have two chains. Right, so you're going to have. That's true.
All right. Well, I think we're going to know the answer by how close it ends up being in line of sight. If it's close, we have to think carefully. If there's a lot of distance, we're probably just golden. We don't have to worry about this issue. So, but okay. All right. All right, so we talked about Mr. Devlin's situation. We talked about, I think I don't have anything else. Is there any other new business that we need to cover today?
I don't think so.
All right.
I believe so, Mr. Chairman.
Jeff, anything from the club's perspective?
We're almost complete with the full winterization of the moorings. There's only a few areas on the west string and a couple of Perry Green moorings, and then we'll be fully complete. In the North Anchorage, there's a couple balls you'll still see because they're connected to the helixes, and they're serviced differently with a diver. But all boats are off of all moorings. All moorings are technically out of service at this time, and I think within the next week there'll be nothing floating.
Okay.
So we're meeting our target.
Okay. Good.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So Jeff, do you want to come and report to the commission? Would February be a good time?
Sure. What do you want me to report on? If I
Well,
may ask?
just that you've pulled, with the state of the tackle and what you've,
These are North Anchorage tackles. they're not
right,
ours.
but, you know, can we extrapolate from the North Anchorage tackle about the South Anchorage tackle and, you know, maybe a report on the 007 there?
Right.
And
Certainly.
just a general, you know, 5 minutes so that everybody knows that in the upcoming season, their boats are gonna be safely moored in the harbor.
Plus, Jeff, it's going to be early days for our new commissioners, so it'd be good for them to get to talk to you about the role that you play in the management of the mooring field. So,
Thank you. I'd be happy to.
Okay, so we'll do that for the February meeting.
Excellent.
cool.
Cool,
All right. I think we can adjourn. Thank you all.
Thank you.
great,
All right. Bye-bye.
good meeting.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.